begin tonight planning out some of the stories. A lot of it's going to have to do with presetting some names, some plot ideas, some things like that. I think I may actually have 24 stories written here, ideas anyway, things that were on my board back there that I might have gotten to eventually. I definitely will not do all 24 in that period of time unless I'm doing a bunch of flash fiction. But I want to have some options so that if one's not speaking to me, I can jump to another one. One thing that I do to try to save myself time is to work out some names. So if I need place or person names, I try to get those in ahead of time. So usually I don't have all those tabs open, but I'll show some examples of what I'll probably do. I have I look up the 100 most common last names in the United States. And so if I'm doing a name that's not meant to stand out, I'll pick from that top 100. Now, if I'm getting more specific, these are last names and they're done alphabetically, and there's tons of them. This is sort of unlimited. Hey man, thanks for coming in. Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. I'm going to be planning out what I'm going to be writing for 24 hours starting on Friday. I also do top 1,000 boy names, and I'll scroll through there to find to find some names. Sometimes I'm looking for something common. Sometimes I'm looking for something obscure. Same thing with the girl names, top 1,000. Then I pull up streets from around the country. A lot of times I'll pull a few different cities from different regions, so I'll get a smattering of street names, but I can also use these names for towns and things like that. So just to get a variety, I pulled up Madison, Wisconsin. So these are the street names. I believe this is something that the police actually have, for responding to calls and stuff. But these are street names in Madison, Wisconsin. I did Toledo, Ohio, so I have some there. These are street names from Macon, Georgia. Hold on, this one's off screen, so I'll pull it in, and you can scroll through those. All right, bringing it back out. These are, it's a small town in Texas, and then a small town in California. And again, I'll pull that down whenever I'm using that one. So these are sort of like the types of sites I would go to when I'm trying to pull up names. All right, now the first story we're going to look at in a minute. I probably won't flesh all of these out tonight. I'm going to kind of be working on this all week in preparation for Friday, and hopefully I'll have enough to where these stories will just flow. First story idea is live long enough. A knight disillusioned with his lord who switched allegiances to a new king rides out to destroy a creature that serves the old king. This one's kind of been playing around in my mind. I've been trying to think of what creature to use. I know Minotaur means the bowl of Menos, but I was kind of looking at something similar to that, but I want it to be big and weird, so I want to put like maybe Hob at the beginning of it, like a hobgoblin, and then I want to put Tar at the end. Now, to be true to that, the creature's going to have some bull features to it, so maybe the feet will be hooves and things. Not sure what'll go in the middle. I need a knight's name, so let's see. Jump back in and look at boy names. I'm kind of in the middle here, so we'll just see if anything sticks out. Nehemiah is kind of biblical. There's Jay. That's not going to be the knight's name. Seth again. Raiden is good. I'm going to use that one, so we'll use Raiden as the knight's name. Sounds oddly medieval. All right. Now we need place names that I'll probably use. The New Kingdom, I'm going to use Solstier because that's actually a kingdom in a fantasy story from my young adult series, so I can tie it in there if I need to. Yeah. So Solstier will be a kingdom. Now we'll look for something that might work. Let me look at the street names for another kingdom. All right, Sherman, of course, Sherwood. Well, of course, I can't use that. Shore. Oh, here we are. Shore Acres, Shore Crest, Shoreham, Shorewood. Shoreham could work. So I may use that as the smaller kingdom name. So this will be the smaller kingdom that the Lord broke away from Shoreham. Probably need a name for the monster too, so I'll need to give that creature a name, since this is clearly something that serves the king, so it has consciousness and agency and all of that. Alright, so we may want to give the lord a name. I don't know if we're going to name the kings. We just may call them the kings of whatever region. So let's go back to boy names. I'll just jump down a little bit and then we'll look. So Watson, Colton, Rogers, Shiloh, Mitchell, Azaria, Talon. That's a pretty good name for a lord, so we'll do that. Again, this one's off the 1,000 boy names. So our lord's name is going to be Talon. I'll put that at the beginning. Lord Talon. And we'll have Sir Raiden. So, again, maybe working out some plot points. I'm trying to figure out where that story would start. The temptation is to start it with this knight traveling or with him getting the orders. Probably the smart thing to do with any story, and I've good advice from a guy named Max Booth III, is to start the story as late as you can. So if you're editing a story, see if you can take out the first paragraph. Does the story still work? Then take out the second paragraph, and you keep taking out paragraphs until you get to the part that the story has to have. So if I follow that rule for this story, it may be right when the knight and the creature go into combat. So all the backstory will have to be worked out during that combat, which might be interesting. All right, the next story idea that I may write on my 24-hour writing challenge is Caretaker's Warning. A group of college kids are warned by a caretaker not to go out to a cursed site. One of them heeds the warning, and the story follows her. So the idea of this is that we're kind of doing the opposite, where you have the kids that don't listen to the caretaker. This is, at least one of them does. She'll end up going back home, and then the story will play out. So let's have it that they went to high school together. I know high school is not a compound word. I'll fix that later. They went to high school together. Came back home. We'll say they challenged each other to go out to a scary site. May work out the backstory of that later. Alright, we need a main character, the girl who's not going to go with them. So we jump back into our girl names. So we'll come down here. Valentina, Kennedy, Ivy. I don't want it to be just a normal name. Serenity, Samantha, Autumn. Well, let's make her Quinn. That'll work. Alright, so our main character's name is Quinn. I'll give her a last name here in a moment. Now we need, let's say, 2 girl names, 2 boy names, and those will be the ones that go on despite the warning. So another girl name, let's make her Brielle. Alright, Brielle. And then another girl name, let's see, could go simple with Rose. Melody, well, let's make her Lila. Kind of want to make sure I'm not using the same first letter, because that can get confusing if you have a multi-character story. Alright, so we're going to get 2 guy names too. These will be the other friends. So looking at boy names, let's scroll back up a little. Alright, Millen, Moises, Jonas, Zayden, Hank, Damon, Hugo. We could go Leland. Leland would be a good caretaker name, so let me just do that. Jump back down here, and our caretaker will be named Leland. And let's go back and fetch some boy names. I need to not be so picky. Alright, we'll do Sean, Otto. Keegan would be good. That kind of fits sort of these other names up here. So one boy's name's Keegan. Maybe a one-syllable name for the other boy. So let's see what we could find. Remy Otto Tate. That'll work. So the next boy's name will be Tate. Now I'm going to find last names for these characters. Alright, so I'm going to give all 4 of these common last names and give Quinn sort of an uncommon one. So let's start with Quinn. So it starts with a Q. So let's do last surnames. Quinn, let's make it an M name. Oh, these are all MAs here. If I go to the 9th board, we're still in the MAs. Let me get out of here a little bit. 13. Alright, 17. Alright, so let's just pick one. Mattier. We'll do that. So Quinn's last name will be Mattier. And then we're going to go common names for the other 4. Alright, so let's look at the top 100. Don't want to do another M name, so Jackson's a choice. Lee. Alright, we'll do Thompson. So Brielle will be a Thompson. I may not even end up using their last names depending on how the story goes, but I'll have them if I need them. Alright, so one of them is a Thompson. Young will work. Lila Young. What would Keegan's last name be? Let's find out. Alright, good last name for Keegan. Keegan Turner would be good. Keegan Turner. And then I'll do green for Tate. That'll work. Alright. So we got them. Alright, so she goes back to her house. Alright, what's going on at her house? Her parents need to be away. You always have the idea that the parents were killed. Let's just say her parents split up. And mom split up. Dad left. yeah. These are all kind of. I ended up with a bunch of white bread names, so I wasn't necessarily trying to stereotype my characters, but it kind of sounds like that. These are sort of the cheerleader names that are popular. Of course, these are the 1,000 most popular names, so those would be the ones that would pop up, I guess. All right, so they split up. Dad is left, and mom needs to be somewhere. Let's say mom working night shift. I'm not sure what her job will be. I may make that up as it fits. He plays quarterback at an Alabama high school. He may be a great guy. I mean, we don't know. Come on, let's give Tate a break here. He didn't name himself. All right, so let's find a uncommon last name for Leland. He's going to be the caretaker. All right, Leland. Let's make it something crazy, like starts with a V. All right, I need to get way out here, so let me go to the last names. Vorfall, Vorpagel, Vorndrain. Sounds like I'm just making them up now. Oh, Voorhees. I could just make him Jason's last name. That'd be funny. Room. Let's jump in a little. Let's say the 11th page. Okay, these are some E's here. Vettel. That's good. Leland Vettel sounds like a great caretaker. I'd put him in charge of my cursed land. Vettel. All right, that works. All right, so I think we have enough to run that story. Okay, look forward to seeing you again soon as son texts his mom after they part and fears that he'll never see her again. All right, so this is a very compact story. Kind of explains itself. I can see the cease and desist coming. Yeah, I should probably run these names through. Once I edit, I need to run these names through and make sure I'm not disparaging some, important like car dealer or something. All right, who used to be a quarterback in an Alabama high school, of course. All right, so we need a. They both have the same last name, but let's find a name for the son. All right, so we'll roll down a little bit, and the son's name will be. Let's do Ridge, I guess. Edison, Kaysen, Tony. Tony works. Franz Cougar. No, let's keep it simple. We'll just make this guy a Tony, like everyone else in every other short story. So his name's Tony. Mom's name needs to be something different. So let's scroll down a little bit. Well, I just saw Rose, so I'm going to use that. So his mom's name is Rose. Tony with the mom name Rose. How can you get more simple than that? All right, so let's not do a common surname. Let's pick something with some pizzazz, I guess. So we'll do surnames. Kind of wish it was easier to jump between the lists here. Let's do a K. And we'll jump to the last part of the list and then come forward to 31. All right. So these are CRs. That'll be good. Cranning, crank, crepe. Call him crap. Crayson, Kruger. I could do that. Kramer. That's funny. These guys are definitely Eastern European in origin, it would appear. Let's jump in a little more. Let's go to 27. All right. Copel. That'll work. Kopel. I think I actually know a writer with that name. I'm going to look it up. I'm trying to think of. So Tony and Rose Copel. Now, obviously, the only other things I would need would be a type of car for him or something like that, but I can get that later. All right, fear minus death equals fun. An investor in a new amusement park gets more than he expected. All right. A Polish name. All right. So, I'm going to set this park in an imaginary county that I write about a lot. So this will be Rutledge County, South Carolina, and we'll put it in Fuller Beach. Alright, so I think I misspelled my own county here. Come on now. If you're going to make an imaginary county, you should at least spell it right. Alright. Okay, Rutledge County, South Carolina, Fuller Beach. Alright. We're going to say that it was country themed theme park. Country music themed amusement park. Closed. Say same people who did a rock themed park in Myrtle Beach. So these past investors were not treating the town right. The new park will be called Fear Minus Death. Alright, so we need a new name for the investor. Alright. Let's look up boy names. Alright, let's make this investor rather obscure. Alright, Bode. Why not? So his first name is Bode. So he comes from Southern money, clearly. So let's see what a good Southern last name might be. Let's start it with a J. Jackson's always the one that jumps immediately to mind, but let's be a little Jagla. Why not? Bode Jagla. Sounds like it's made up. Alright, we need someone to take him around the park. So this character let's have the person taking around the park will be Ryder. Of course it is. All my stories are starting to sound like middle class people that work at golf courses. Alright, so Ryder. And let's go a common last name. Ward. There we go. And I may need some more characters for this one, but we'll hold off on that for now. Death Park. Alright, the zombies are coming. A desolate town after a long ago apocalypse. Debate what to do about an approaching zombie threat. Not sure I need to pull names for that yet. Alright, Oil Bible. A boy's Bible starts producing oil and becomes an international religious sensation. This is actually based on a real scam that occurred up in a town in Georgia. Boy needs a name. I'll go ahead and use Chase. That's a great name for a boy whose Bible starts weeping oil. So we'll give Chase a last name. Chase Gray. There we go. And we need a pastor's name. So we'll say pastor's last name is going to be Wood. So we'll do that. Well, we're way up at the top. Let's go down for the pastor. Maurice Wood. Reverend Maurice Wood. We need a name for a church. Probably I'm going to need more than one church name, but let's just go ahead and do one for now. Alright, I'm going to look at streets in Toledo. Okay. Groveland Baptist Church. Southern Baptist Church, of course. Groveland Southern Baptist Church. Alright, there are definitely more details. Alright, let me get a town name. So we're going to look for a town name that starts with a D, let's say. Alright, so list of street names. Let me shrink this down so it's going to be seen a little better. So I'm going to scroll down to the D names here in Macon. Alright, so some of these are actually town names in Georgia, so I need to be careful not to pick. Dogwood would be an easy one. Dukeswell, Dumbarton, Dunlap, Durham, Duskmore. Alright. None of those are jumping out to me, so let me jump over to Madison here. So let's scroll up to the D's. Madison, Delmar, Deming, Dennett, Denton. That sounds like a good name. Let's make it Denton, Georgia. I'll check later and make sure there's not a Denton, Georgia, but I don't think there is. Alright, so Grove Southern Baptist Church in Denton, Georgia. Let me do a prison name too. I'm going to have this Bible tour to a prison. So I'll just scroll down here. Alright. Spencer, Spicewood, Spooner. Oh, we could go with a saint. Philomone, St. James, St. Dunstan. Nah. Starfire, Stanbrook. Stanbrook would be good. So, Stanbrook State Prison. Alright, that'll work. And any other names I can look up, alright? The next one is Jess Henry and the Crazy Train. A girl tries to stop a killer train. Kind of a reverse of the John Henry story. I don't know that I need to add any names or detail to that yet. I wish you would. A retired preacher tries to maintain peace between a werewolf and a weregator who are neighbors. Alright, so let's get some names. We'll get Reverend. No, let's just have him call himself Pastor. Pastor. Alright, so boy names. Pastor Briar. It's actually a good last name. Briar. So let's find another first name for him. Who would be a good name for a pastor that's trying to keep werewolves apart? Keelan would be good. Joey was nice. Jax is interesting. I don't know if... Let's make that one of the other characters' names. So, Fisher. There we go. So we got Jax and Fisher. Actually, I think those are the characters' names. So let's say the werewolf's name is Jax. And the weregator's name is Fisher. There we go. Alright, now we need a first name for the pastor and a last name for the others. Oh, I'm glad you liked it, man. Yeah, Luke Spooner did both those covers and kind of just went with the same theme for the first cover, but then went a little darker. So I'm glad you liked the Vampire Christ Book 2 cover. That's good. Ooh, Thatcher's a good last name. Let's call the pastor's first name Kane. Probably that's Kane Briar. And then what was I just looking at? Thatcher. Let's do Ray and Thatcher. Fisher Ray. And Jax Thatcher. Alright, so this will be the werewolf. And this will be the weregator. Alright, so I'll put them in one of the towns, and they'll be in Butler, South Carolina. Again, that's in the county that I made up for a lot of stories. Yes, Luke Spooner does the Dead Song ones. He does most of my self-published stuff. Obviously, there are cheaper artists out there, but there's not many better ones. So I really like the work he does. It makes it stand out. Hopefully, it's not the best part of the book, but it's books are judged by their covers, and he does a good job with covers. So yeah, he does all of those, and several others. He did the Maids of Zombie Kingdoms covers. Oh, and some of these were younger readers, so he kind of changed his style to do that. He did the Lake Scatterwood covers, which are kind of younger and cartoonish. And he did the covers for Time Travel Academy, which is middle grades. So I love Luke Spooner. He does great work, and he's always good to me. And it's also helpful for me because I'm not very artistic in nature, like visual art. So like I can look at a cover and say that I like it. But what I have trouble with is like if I had to say, well, I like it for this reason or that reason, I can't do that. So it's good to have an artist that's consistently good, like Luke, who will, make up for the fact that I'm, I don't know what I like. So he always comes up with great stuff. Yeah, that's what I thought. I really like his work. Yeah, he's good. More and more people are using him too, so I hope he doesn't end up ever getting too busy for me. All right, let's come up with a street name that these werewolves, were creatures live on before they start fighting each other. All right. Oh, Eagle would be good. Not Eagle Nest. That has all kinds of connotations. Eagle Crest. So we'll make it Eagle Crest Lane instead of Drive. So these people live on Eagle Crest Lane. And that works just fine. Probably out near the golf course, I imagine. All right. Next one is Unchurched God. A traveler takes refuge in a forgotten shrine, awakening an ancient forgotten god. All right, so we need a traveler's name. I don't think we need a last name. I don't need it to be a common name. So maybe we'll look at some streets. It seems like the streets in Madison are pretty good. So let's see if we can find an unusual name. Alright. Ooh, F's would be good. Falmouth, Fallview, Farley, Farwell, Fawn, Felland. That would be good. Falland. So that'll be the traveler's name. I don't think we're going to specify a time period. Just somebody fleeing something and they come across this shrine. Now, do we name the forgotten god or goddess here? All right, let's just look at girl names. There's probably some good goddess girl names down there. Get around the 800s, I think. So the 800th most popular girl name is Claire. Anika, Camilla. There you go. Azaria. Della. Maybe Kai, Kai. I know that probably already has some meaning to it, but I'm going to go ahead and use it. So single syllable would be good. And then I can alter that if I need to for some reason. I don't think I need much else for that. All right, the next story I may be writing on Friday, Grogan Farms, a family owning 2 farms feuds over the split. Okay, let me flesh out the story a little bit. They're tourist attractions, like school field trips. Two brothers split the farm in half after parents died. We'll say billboards, both advertising 2 different Grogan farms. Of course, they're suing each other. And we'll say, what else? Okay, this will be a story that escalates. Escalating conflict. Alright. Now let's say the story is told during the aftermath. Alright. Police chief is related and wants to keep it quiet. Young officer writing an unofficial report for the narration. All right. So I kind of like that idea because it'll detach it'll detach the storyteller, the narrator, from the violence. So it's almost like he's articulating it. It doesn't have to be stilted like the way that a police report would try to be official. So since this is trying to be kept quiet, he's going to be sort of more honest with his chief. Okay, so we need 3 Grogans that own the farms and that are the police chief. Grogan, Grogan, and Grogan. The deputy or the officer's name needs to stand out since the other 3 have the same last name. So let's give the deputy a girl's name that could also work for a guy. So Corey could work. Lee could work. Linux. Let's do Linux. Alright, so his first name is Linux. And a last name that stands out. So let me jump back up here. We'll do surnames again. Do I want to do a ZX name? Let's see what starts with a Y. Yankee would be a funny last name for Yankee would be a funny last name for a southern police officer or sheriff. Let's make it not so, a little subtle though, like Yank. All right, so his name is Lennox Yank. So he's a southern sheriff's deputy. Oh, it's an officer. It's a southern police officer named Yank. All right. Yankovic. All right, so let's give these farmers a name. All right, Farmer 1 will be named Kenny. That's a great farmer name. Kenny Grogan. Kenny Grogan will be one of the farmer brothers that's escalating a conflict, I'm sure, into terrible violence. On Van, that's another great one. So Kenny and Van Grogan, and then we need the police chief's name. Alright, let's get back near the top. What is the most popular? Liam is the most popular boy's name in 2019? I wouldn't have thought that. Is this just the United States? What is this? Most popular boy names in the United States. Liam was the most popular boy name in 2019. So Liam, Noah, Oliver, William, Elijah, James, Benjamin, Lucas. Let's do a Lucas. Alright, so Lucas Grogan Sr. will be the related. Let's not make him an uncle. We don't want him too close to the conflict, so he's a little bit separated. So we'll say a third cousin once removed. Okay. He'll be Chief. Lucas Grogan. Alright. And I imagine that story will get a little bloody, but we'll find out. I try not to go too gory when I'm writing live on Twitch, but you always need a little bit for a horror story. Always weird shit, never anything that would save the world. A young man with premonitions keeps taking messages from his dreams he doesn't understand to random people. Alright. So, let's say it's always in a Wendy's parking lot. Wendy's parking lot. And let's give it a town. So let's look at streets in Toledo. The town will be Wendover. Wendover. Do you want it in Georgia? Wendover, let's stay Tennessee. Alright, need a hospital name. So let me go into here. Oh, University Hills. This probably actually is a hospital name, but we'll find out. University Hills Medical Center. There we go. Good stuff. Alright, now we need names of people that he's going to prophesy to. Okay, well, we need his name, obviously. So what's this guy's name? Let's go with a common boy's name. Alright. Noah would be fine. Noah's kind of a indirect prophet name. He was a prophet, but people don't think of it that way from the biblical narrative. Let's go with a common last name. Foster, Ross, Noah Long, Noah Myers. Let's go Long. Noah Long. Alright, and let's get some people that he would prophesy to. So we need a man and his wife. So it'll be Owen and Lena. So we got Owen and Lena. And then we will grab a last name. Let's go common last name again. Let's do Ross. Owen and Lena Ross. They sound like upstanding people. One of them may be a doctor. Alright, so let's do another boy's name. Josiah, Charles, Caleb, Isaiah, Christian, Maverick, Colton, Landon, Santiago, Roman, Miles, Jackson, Dominic. Let's do that. Dominic. And let's have a wife for this guy too. So Dominic will be married to Simone. Dominic and Simone. And I know these are first names. Rain, that's her last name. And then we'll do one more person name. I mean, one more person name, they're all people. Let's do a guy. Everett, I've used before recently. Braden, Weston. And we'll do a last name that starts with an E. So, back to surnames. Jump to the E's. Who are we? Earnhardt, okay. Eben, Ebanks, Ebarb. EB names, that's interesting. Ebers, Everett, Ebbs, Ebel, Ebeling, Eben, Eberly, Ebbinger. That sounds good. Weston Ebbinger. All right. So I think we're good on that one. Plague party. Group gathers to have one last party as the world ends outside. Okay, that's good. I don't think I'll do names for that one yet. Sacks of moist, unrealized stardust. Alien entity takes human form to study Earth, but then doesn't want to leave. All right. So, if an alien were taking human form, how would they name themselves? They would probably go to the baby list, and they would go with the most popular name. So, they would go with Liam, assuming he landed in 2019, which I don't think is the case here, but we'll just say it is. Alright, so he named himself Liam. Probably Smith is the most common. Yup, Smith is the most common name. Let's say he went different, though. He went with Garcia. So he named himself Liam Garcia. That's going to be our alien in human form's name. Alright, so we'll say this guy had 3 different wives. Alright, so we need girl names. Crystal. Of course, his first wife's name is Crystal. Second wife would be Penny. And who is his current wife? Stella? No. Sora, Chaina. Getting down into some unusual names. Annika, Della. Navy. Navy is the 811th most common girl name in 2019. Sky would be good. Hannah. Haley. JC. Paulina. Jade. Gwen. Let's go with Gwen. Those will be his 3 wives' names. And I don't think we need a town or a street name. We'll just have him hiding out. Alright, David the giant killer. Giants enslaved by the human army are forced to fight. I actually pulled from the Bible the names of Goliath's brothers. So we'll have one named Gol. We'll have a giant named Saph. We will have a giant named Ahimi. And I needed another name, but they didn't name Goliath's 4th brother in the Bible, so I'll name him Shrews. I will probably need more names, but I think that'll work for now. Kind of the idea behind this story is going to be a reversal of the David and Goliath story, where the giants are put upon, and maybe Goliath had to sort of put on a show. And David, the giant killer who puts down Goliath and then chases down all the brothers, is actually just part of the problem. Funny thing is, I've only ever heard one Smith family. I don't know a lot of Smiths, that's right, but there's apparently over 2 million of them just in the United States. Alright, slight changes. A recently divorced man starts to notice small changes at his home over time and begins to think he is crazy. I've seen some very good versions of this type of story from authors better than myself, but I'm going to go ahead and make my own version. So we need a guy. His last name's going to be Miller. And I'm going to make his first name something that starts with an A. So what's the most popular boy name? Aiden? No. Anthony? I already did a Tony. Every story has a Tony in it. Adrian, Aaron, Angel, Axel. Axel is the 83rd most popular boy's name in 2019. Oh, goodness. Okay, Austin, Adam. Maybe Austin. We'll name him Austin. So his name is Austin Miller. And I think that may be all I need for that story. It may be very self-contained. Alright, Voices from the Ground is going to be a working title. I'm going to set it in the world of Maidens of Zombie Kingdom. So I'm using characters from that world. Darn, Heather, and Jesse meet privately with Duchess Cora to investigate a strange phenomenon. And so that'll be wrapped around that story. Camp Pyres. The title of this one actually came from a misspelling that I did when I was trying to write campfires, and it sounded so close to vampires that I knew I had to make a story out of it one day, so now we're going to. The human kids of Lake Scatterwood have to compete against vampires at another camp in a series of competitions. I guess sort of meatballs with vampires is what we're doing there. But again, I can use the characters from the story that already exists. What's lost tends to stay lost. A woman returns to the woods behind her old neighborhood to track down something. Alright. Why is she back in town? Okay. Recently married, so her husband will be involved. Recently married. Mother and father not doing well. That would be why they're back in town. So let's give her a name and him a last name. Alright, so her name. Let's not go. What's the most popular girl names? I haven't started from the top here. So Olivia, Emma, Ava, Sophia, Isabella, Charlotte, Amelia, Mia, Harper, Evelyn, Abigail, Emily, Ella, Elizabeth, Camilla, Luna, Sophia with a different spelling, Avery, Milla. Good grief. Is there already a Milla? Well, there's a Mia. Aria, Scarlett, Penelope. Penelope is the 22nd most popular girl's name. Layla. She could be a Layla. Grace. Nora. Would Grace work? Could her name be Grace? Chloe, Layla. Let's go with Grace. Grace. That may not work for what I want to do, but it should be fine. Grace. Let's make him. He could be an Adam. Evan. Let's make him an Evan. So Grace and Evan. His last name. Let's make his last name unusual and her last name common. Alright, so we'll pick a letter at random. Let's make him an H. Oh, let's do an I name. You don't hear a whole lot of I last names. Alright. Ibach, Aya, Igo. Let's go about 3 pages in. Ingram, that's common. Inwood, let's do that. Grayson Evan Inwood. Now she needs a last name that she had before she was married. She took her husband's name, very traditional. Alright, so her last name would be we already did Green. Vera. There's a lot of common Spanish or Latino surnames in the United States. Murphy. 64th most common last name in the United States. Alright. Reed might work. Ramos. Richardson, Watson, Chavez. Bennett. Mendoza. Hughes. Let's make Price. So her family's last name is Price. Let's name her old town and let's name her street, because these seem to be fun, important. Alright, so let's go to a small town in California. I'll put that on screen for everybody. These streets are actually from Capitola in Santa Cruz County, California. And there's not a lot of streets there, so you can see that those are... I keep getting advertised lights because I bought lights for my setup here, so they assume I'll keep buying lights forever, and maybe they're right. Ruby, interesting last name. Let's make Rosedale the town, and Trotter Drive. Okay, so I don't even remember what I said. Rosedale. So Rosedale and Trotter. Alright. So the town is called Rosedale. You don't have to specify a state. And the street will be Trotter Drive. Alright. Throwing a shadow. Old man is disappearing. Okay, I envision this. Alright. Let's say oldest man in the world. Medical technology advancing, artificial organs and nanites. So we'll say we're getting up to the point in the future where potentially people could live hundreds of years. 10th generation just born. So he's seen 10 generations of his family, we'll say. Misses people. Let's say this story is a little surreal. People passing through the house who may not be there. Who may not really be there. So it could be nurses, could be old family members, just all these people going through that he's not sure he remembers. So let's give him a name. Alright, now he's an older guy. So we'll say he's of course he would probably be born in our time, so it could just be a random name. Let's just call him John. There you go, his name is John, and we'll give him a last name. Because, I mean, he's the oldest man in the world. If he's earned anything, he's earned a last name. Alright, so his last name will start with an O. Oh, you got to go pretty deep before you're just not getting all the Irish names. Oh, this and oh, that. Orman, that's perfect. John Orman. Sounds like somebody I already know. Like, every name starts to sound familiar after a while. Let's give John Orman a friend who he remembers well that may play an important part later. Alright, so his friend's name, let's go about halfway down the list. Abram. Oh, that friend's last name is going to be Apollo. Let's make him Abram Apollo. Same letter for both names. Abram Apollo. Just one P. Abram Apollo. We'll see where he fits in later. Head hopping, alien demonic possession. All right. One of the reasons I have this story idea down, the reason I wrote it down as a story idea is because one of my bad habits with writing is that I tend to head hop, and what that means, oh, I got hair in my face. What that means is that in the middle of a scene, I have a bad habit of like moving to someone else's head and kind of telling the story from their perspective instead of doing scene breaks. A lot of people do not like that, including my editors, and I'm working on it. But then I thought it would be funny to create a story that centers around head hopping. So the idea is either this alien presence or this demonic presence is jumping from one person's head to another. So I may need several names. So we'll just grab several girl names in a row. So we'll go from Scarlet to Eleanor. So and let me undo formatting. So we have that many girl names. Let's grab a few guy names, probably not as many. So he's jumping from person to person. We'll go, well, I already did Apollo for somebody. Tatum, there you go. Tatum, Pierce, Forrest, Corey, Derek. Sounds good. Control copy. We'll throw those guys on down into the fire, and these may be people that he would possess along the way. Again, we will clear the formatting. Alright, and I need a bunch of last names. Oh, it's going to be bad if they're all in alphabetical order. Okay, so let's just... let's look at street directory. I don't know if I can copy and paste from this. See, these are all in alphabetical order too, so I need to grab them out of alphabetical order. I may grab the last names later then. Alright, so we got a bunch of first names, a bunch of last names, and this creature presence is going to jump from head to head, and each one will have sort of a different story that they're dealing with. Alright, hanged up high where the crows can pick at them is going to be a western. Let's name a character River. I don't know what else that story is going to be about. I'm going to need to think about that one a little more. May your lies cross your eyes will be another western. So, let's say wealthy landowner. Haunted by past evils. We'll name him later. Future, you are promised the economy of space the world needs. Solar punk winter. Alright. Everyone lives in small but tall superstructures. Why I can't spell. Superstructures, there we go. Okay. Small living spaces We will say that living in small living spaces. We'll say that only 1 million people on Earth with voluntary population control. Robots maintain cities. Robots maintain empty cities. Empty cities for history. We'll say winters are longer, but don't know why. New ice age, question mark. Okay, let's do a person's name, but I don't want them named. This is the future, so let's do Tyrion be the guy's name. We won't do last names. If there's only 1 million people left in the world, what would you need last names for, right? Tyrion, and we will name the girl, female character, Council. That'll be her name. Alright. State that this one is male. This one is female. Alright, Tyrion will be a curator. Flies on a solar glider above the clouds to track storms and to secure artifacts uncovered by the robots. Alright, now we'll say he wants to build a mansion for his wife. I'll have to say he does it in secret. In secret for his wife. Alright, so we got an outline for a story there. Alright, Fairy Train. I have not thought this one out very well. This one's steampunk fairy tale. Creatures on a magical train offer children the chance at a new life. I don't know if that's the story, so I'm going to put question marks on both sides here. So maybe it's not clear what they're doing. We need some fairy names. Alright, so I'm going to go to the girl names. I'm going to go all the way to the bottom. So I'm guessing if I go from 1,000 up, that I'll start to see some names that sound like fairies. Dixie would be an interesting fairy for the south. Aradian? I think that's what... Aradne? Alright, so A-R-I-A-D-N-E. A-R-I-A-N-D-E. Alright, that's a good fairy name. Alright. So we have Hadley, Talia, that may be a good fairy name. Talia. And let's just get a few more. I'm not sure what I'm doing with this story, but if I can go ahead and... Oh, Freya, of course. F-R-E-Y-J-A. F-R-E-Y-J-A. So that is an excellent fairy name. You want fairy names, you go to the bottom of the popular list and just find them. Alright, Freya, Austin, Alana, Sandra, Beatrice, Saria, Queen, Saria, S-A-R-I-A-H, S-A-R-I-A-H, it's a good fairy name. Maybe I'll do 2 more. I may not even use all of these, but it's kind of fun that you can find them. Renee Amoura, Amoura. So Amoura. Just fairy names everywhere. Okay. And we'll do one more. Oh, I could call one Jewel. Gianna would be good. Ingrid, Kaya, Karen, Kaylin, Emerald. Why not? Esperanza, Halo. That is a good fairy name. People naming their kids, they did not disappoint. This last one I'm going to have to think about too. It's Untitled. I'm connected to Perpetual Motion Machine Publishing on their Patreon. I support them there, and they do a writing prompt each month, and then they'll even edit the story and give some feedback. This one's Unlikely New Year's Eve resolutions. So someone coming up with something unusual that they're going to try to do to change their life. So I got some ideas rolling around my head, but not positive yet.